Well, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those of you out in the East, and welcome to the Doctor's Call. We host this call every Tuesday, and I really have to thank Andrea and Dr. Kim for grabbing the duties and running the call for the last 3 weeks while I was down in Australia and doing kind of a tour down there talking about age reversal and what an important topic. And actually, age reversal is the most fastest growing branch of medicine. And as we see more and more doctors learning about it, we're finding that they're getting involved. They see that the future of healthcare, the future of medicine, involves with really addressing aging as being the disease. If we address aging, it's going to be just the results are going to be crazy in what we're going to see with people and the progression of disease. Angela Epstein, a scientist, she said that you can actually predict when the human body is going to start falling apart. You know, she said that the nervous system starts to show signs of aging in the 20s. She shows that the cardiovascular system starts to show signs of aging in the 20s, between the age of 20 and 30. The vision starts to fall apart, hearing, taste and smell. The lungs, you find that you have less lung capacity because of the stiffening of the cartilage and the muscles in the chest area. We find that the kidneys start to lose some of their function of the little filtering units, and the digestive system. Just every part of our body starts to show signs of progressing, of getting older. The joints wear out. The bones start to lose bone density. And so if we can take and address the disease of aging, all of a sudden we can start seeing some huge changes. So that's what I was talking about when I went down to Australia. I actually ended up giving 24 presentations down there over a 17-day period of time, and really found a lot of people that were excited to learn, a lot of people that were excited to learn about what we can do to slow the whole disease process down. And you can go on to the Sizzle World Team channel on YouTube if you want to listen to a recording of that presentation. And then what I did is I followed up with another presentation on what we can do to actually address the issues of aging using different kinds of nutritional products. And so you can listen to both those presentations on the YouTube on the Sizzle World Team channel over there. But so that's where I've been for the last 3 weeks. And as we look at DNA, we look at stem cells, we look at sirtuin genes and all that. There's been so many things that we've discovered really since the late 90s when the Human Genome Project was completed. I remember I was at a seminar put on by Dr. Jeff Bland and his crew, and back in the late 90s, and they were talking about this, and I had my genetics tested for SNPs, the single nucleotide polymorphisms, which are really a simple way of saying they're the mistakes in your DNA. And think of them like light switches. If you can keep the light switches shut off, you're gonna prevent disease. If you're gonna keep the light switches turned on that keep your protective mechanisms working, it's also going to help prevent the progression of disease. So that was some important information that was found after that, and it just seems like since then, the last 18 years or so, everything that we know it's made all the old science just really obsolete. I mean, we take a look at just neurology. Back 30 years ago when Dr. Kim and I were in chiropractic college. Kim, do you remember? They told us that the amount of brain cells that you had at the age of 20, 21, that was the most you're ever going to get. After that, it was just a natural decline. You were going to start losing brain cells. Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
After all these years, I didn't lose too many.
There you are. You're still here working, right? You're still teaching.
Absolutely.
And learning.
Sure. Yeah.
And learning. That's important,
Yeah.
right? And now they tell us that we're constantly rebuilding the brain tissue as well. What do you think of that?
And that's new information.
Yeah.
Because we always thought you kind of had what you had, when it came to the cells in the central nervous system.
Yeah, I went to an anti-aging seminar last April down in Orlando, so just not quite a year ago, and they talked about, just the muscles in your head that were used for chewing. They discovered that when you quit chewing food and start eating soft food after you'd lost your teeth, they said that the brain picks up on that, and a simple way of saying your brain decides that's one of the signs that you're dying, and it starts to have the decline of the neurogenesis, the lack of building new brain cells. And they also found that your skeletal muscle, when you're not in that constant cycle of tearing down old muscle and rebuilding new muscle, again, your brain picks up on that and decides that that's a sign that you're aging and you're dying, and that we should that the brain says, well, time to start shutting things down. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
It sure is, which kind of means we should probably never stop exercising, huh?
That's exactly it, and that's why when Sizzle came out with the RIPT product, it was really based on the science that these doctors had been working on, that the researchers had been working on. $21 million worth of research, 24 human studies, and they found that we could actually stimulate the body to start building new muscle through an amino acid blend. And so when Tom and Thomas and everyone out at Sizzle said that they were coming out with this RIPT product, I knew a lot of the science because I just heard about it down at that seminar. So just amazing things that we're discovering about the human body, and it's just everything is just going forward from there. So and part of the problem in our world is that our DNA is under constant attack. They say that our DNA gets damaged at least 10 times a day due to environmental hazards like toxins, dietary carcinogens that we're exposed to in our food and our water, radiation, solar radiation. When I was down in Australia, I talked to a lot of people down there, and they said, oh, there's scientists there have discovered that there's a problem with the ozone layer surrounding that country, surrounding that continent, and so they're having a lot more problems with radiation. They're having a lot more problems with skin cancer and even the oxidative stress that we're seeing and the DNA damage. A lot of it, they're finding that it can be prevented or it can be repaired through this process. These naturally known substances, the nicotinamide riboside, the nicotinamide mononucleotide, which your body uses to build NAD+. And so it's really, I find it really interesting, all the different things that we're discovering. And so if we can slow the aging process down, really we can slow down the cancer as well. And we can't make any medical claims and things like that, but really just just saying that, look, the science is out on the different kinds of ingredients, and all we have to say is we're using those ingredients in our products. And you take a look at the AGE pill, the AGE pill, and anti-glycation extreme, and I know, Dr. Kim, you just sent me a bunch of research that had to do with telomeres, glycation, and mitochondria dysfunction is the name of the article. And I thought it was really interesting. The first line, it says mitochondrial dysfunction causes aging, but telomere shortening has turned out to be the primary cause of mitochondrial dysfunction. How interesting is that?
You know, it's fascinating. Dr. Z, who's on the call, and I have been starting a new venture in doing stem cell injections, and so I started doing some research because I had a hunch that if we could prepare the host better. I mean, there's got to be some reason why people have degeneration in joints and that. And if we could kind of address some of those problems before we introduced stem cells into the body, that we might end up getting, better results. So I'm starting to find a lot of research that has been done that ties in the very thing that, Tom's been saying for a while, that, glycation is a root of a lot of this stuff, the lipofuscin, and that things like, the NAD plus, increasing NAD plus can have a positive effect. Well, what does that? That's the NR that's in the H pill. Resveratrol can have a positive effect on increasing what it's called engraftment, where these cells get into the tissue and start, take hold and start growing. Glucose molecules, which we find in the picoin, can all have a tremendously beneficial effect. Now, we've got a long way to go to, tie it all together, but, I don't know who's doing that other than us guys out in the field who are going to, see the results of trying this stuff. At this point, I'm not a research scientist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm kind of where the rubber meets the road kind of guy, where we're dealing with actual patients. But I got a feeling that people that are aware of the types of things that we are, basically what we're selling out there to people, is going to have a beneficial effect, not only for people that are getting stem cell injections, but just the average Joe is going to go a long way to helping himself do better, and maybe avoid those and the need for those stem cell injections down the road, just by addressing the problems that our products address. What do you think, Kurt?
You bet.
Dr. Kurt?
Well, I was just reading that, we take a look at inflammation. Inflammation is really your body's way of saying, hey, there's something wrong down here. It's the natural body reaction to a response to an infection or a tissue injury, and it bumps up or boosts the immune defenses and helps the body overcome stress. And what's the first thing that we do in patient care? Well, what we've been taught is let's get rid of that inflammation, and really what we should be looking at is what is that inflammation telling us? What's it telling us about the body? Where is the problem going wrong? And so that we can start looking for how do we fix it? Because if we can fix the problem, then the body's going to get rid of the inflammation. And there's a lot of factors that go into it, such as pollution, like I was talking about, poor diet, lack of exercise, other kinds of lifestyle problems. And all of this leads to premature aging and chronic disease. And it's amazing to see where all of this is going. The future of medicine is really kind of right at our fingertips right now. It's all changing. And Dr. Kim, you and I were talking earlier this morning, and you just brought it up on the call here. Preparing the body for healing is so important. And as we were talking this morning, what products do you find help out with preparing the body? I know when you and Dr. Z were doing your stem cell injections, you've already seen just in the last couple of weeks that you can actually make a person respond better. Give me kind of your opinion on that.
Well, it may be a little premature, but I think that what we're seeing, and it's a very limited sampling, but the few people that we did, like 7 people, and the few that had been on the H pill prior seem to be doing a little bit better faster. So I'm I'm looking at like if you're going to paint a wall. If you got a dirty wall and you just put paint on it, you're going to end up with a paint over a dirty wall, and you're going to have problems down the line. You're not going to have a great job. But if you clean that wall first, and you take care of the little holes, and you fill those up, and then when you paint it, you're going to get a much better job, and it's going to last longer. So, it's again, it's a preliminary stage, but I think there's really something to it.
Yeah, and I was just reading this article that you sent me, and it really makes sense. It backs up what you're saying, because they're saying that cellular stress is partially caused by glycation, right? And glycation
Right.
leads to dysfunction of the mitochondria, and if your mitochondria are weakened, then there's no way that the cell can recover, at least not adequately. And what the H pill does is it supports that mechanism in our body that removes the glycation from the cells, the sugar coating within the cells, and so it just makes sense with what you're saying, and all of that. And so if we can address kind of getting the body ready for it, it's like going in the kitchen and having everything ready before you start to cook. If you go out there and you start cooking before you have everything prepared, your meal's not going to come out right. And that's the same type of thing. Dr. Z, what's let's get some feedback from your side. What do you think of that? Go on, hit star
Dr.
6.
Z, hit star 6.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
We can.
We got you.
All right, perfect. All right, so so actually I had a couple questions or comments. First of all, I agree with Dr. Kim that we need to try to prepare the terrain, prime the walls, so to speak, before applying the paint, before injecting the stem cells. One of the common practices for stem cell doctors is to tell patients to avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatories for a week or two prior to the injection. I think there's some thought that it might interfere with the effects of the stem cells. But my question is, is there something we can give patients instead to help with the pain? I was looking through the product catalog, and I ran across one of the products called, I think it's called Rejuvenator.
Renovator.
Renovator. Sorry, is that a good product for acute pain? Does it work? Does it work in a relatively short period of time?
You bet. Yeah, actually, not just for acute pain, but really with helping people with chronic joint problems as well, because it's got the MSM, it's got the glucosamine sulfate,
Sure.
It's got other natural factors that have been studied to help with getting rid of joint problems.
Sure, but is that something people can take in exchange for a Motrin or exchange for Advil?
You bet. Yeah, there's some natural COX-2 inhibitors in the product that help with that.
Okay. Now, do you have any data or any reason to suggest that could also interfere with stem cell injections or other things? I know orthopedic surgeons, they commonly tell the patients not to take anti-inflammatories after like a knee replacement, because it can impair the healing process. Is there any reason to believe that this product might have any kind of similar such concerns?
Yeah, so what you're asking is if there's any contraindications taking it before an injection, stem cell injection. Actually, no. My thoughts is that it would actually help prepare the joint, because it's gonna actually with the natural organic sulfur that's found in the MSM and the glucosamine, should actually help kind of get the joint ready, get the cellular tissue ready for the stem cell.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, because we were also planning on including that. Somebody who signs up for a stem cell injection for, let's say, a knee, we were planning on including the that Renovator product plus the H pill, and tell them to take it. The Renovator is needed, in replacement of like an ibuprofen or something, and then the H pill, start out on it at least a week before the injection and then continue on after. The couple patients that we had who were on the Age pill after the injection seemed to be doing the best. We did a guy with a knee and a shoulder and a guy with a neck, and they seem to be responding pretty good. The other ones who are not taking that seem to be a lot slower to respond.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you take a look at like the resveratrol, resveratrol has been shown to stimulate the sirtuin genes, and then the ingredients in the H pill have been shown to also help stimulate the sirtuin genes, which are really the genes of repair. And so that's got to help out when you do the stem cells. What you think as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every little bit helps. The other question or comment I had, you were talking about like oxidative stress and DNA damage. I know there's been more and more research on electromagnetic radiation, like cell phones, Wi-Fi, things like that. Do you have any data specifically on those, or any products specifically geared towards mitigating that?
Yeah, as far as talking about EMFs and that, yeah, we know from using pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Dr. Kim and I are both involved with that your body, it needs the electromagnetic fields to heal. And what happens is that because we're running around on concrete, we're running around with rubber-soled shoes, we're not absorbing that electromagnetic frequency from the earth like we should, and so we're overstressing the part of the brain called the astrocytes, which are left to trying to keep up with producing the electromagnetic fields in the body. And so what happens is because of the deficiency within the body, then the body tries to grab whatever electromagnetic fields it can, and so it'll grab it from cell phones, it'll grab it from TVs, different things like devices, electronic devices. The problem with it being is that when you're looking at these electronic devices, they're producing electromagnetic frequencies that are way too high in comparison to what the body operates on. The body operates on a frequency of I think Dr. Kim, didn't we get taught that it's like 1 to 60 hertz, and a cell phone operates like on 2,000 millihertz.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but I'm just thinking about, I see a lot of patients who they never heal up from even minor injuries. They get a little bit of whiplash from a car accident, or they strain their shoulder or their knee, and then it just never heals up. So I know there's a lot of factors to that, but I'm wondering whether the proliferation of these electronic devices and this electromagnetic pollution also has a big contributor to it, and if there's any way to test for that damage, and to maybe mitigate it. I know there's a lot of the PEMF is great, but not everybody's going to have access to PEMF. So it's not something you can put in a bottle and ship to patients. But is there something that's been shown to kind of help mitigate the damage from all the electromagnetic fog?
Yeah, and I don't have anything that I can that I send out with patients. I think the big thing is like we're talking about with the PEMF therapy, but possibly I know there's devices that they can put on or around the body that help protect you from the bad EMF radiation, but I don't know if it'll reverse the damage.
Sounds like an opportunity to do some more research.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that with a lot of claims, but I don't know how you verify, some of those things. And there may be a way, but I'm not sure what it is.
You bet. Well, and I think getting back to kind of the talk about the nutrition, talking about glycation, and so this glycation, it triggers this mitochondrial dysfunction, which triggers inflammation. And then with what you guys are doing and what I'm going to be doing down in Denver with the stem cell injections, if you can get rid of the mitochondrial dysfunction, if you can get the body kind of already setting in place a healing situation, it's just gonna respond better than if you just jump in there. I guess I'm gonna say cold turkey, and all of a sudden you got somebody coming out the street. You're shooting the mesenchymal stem cell signalers into the body, and it just doesn't respond as good. Right?
Yeah, that could be it. You know, we're there's a lot of talk about what we're actually doing, what these stem cells that we're putting in. I mean, there's other factors in there that may be equally as important as the actual stem cell. I don't know. We're going to find out, though, hopefully before too long.
You bet. You bet. Well,
yeah.
you know, and kind of talking about getting back to the age pill. You know, I'm sitting here. I've got an article that I typed or I printed off this morning, and it just says that these advanced glycation end products, the AGEs, you know, they form at a slow rate in the cells and accumulate over time. But what happens is that because of our diet, we're eating lots of carbs, lots of sugars, the accumulation starts to increase quite quickly. And these extracellular AGEs have an effect on the collagen, and in most of us, we notice as we're aging, we see wrinkles. Well, that's because of the accumulation of the advanced glycation end products. It can actually trigger the collagen to form wrinkles, but it also it causes high blood glucose levels, chronic inflammation, which target then the mitochondrial proteins, and this causes a decreased oxygen consumption. And again, when you're talking about what we're doing with stem cells, I mean, you have to have that oxygen. Otherwise, the body just can't go through normal healing without oxygen. And research shows that if you have increased glycation and mitochondrial dysfunction, we're also going to see more tumor growth. We're going to see increased cancer rates and tumor progression. And with these AGEs that accumulate in the body, and you know, the glycation-induced mitochondrial dysfunction, they're saying that it has a lot to do with dementia, advanced dementia, and even Alzheimer's. So as we look further into this research, it's pretty amazing what we're starting to see with these glycated end products.
Well, I'm just seeing that after 3-4 months with people taking the H pill, that the improvement continues. You know, it's a type of thing that for a lot of people, you're undoing damage that's been accumulating for X number of years. In my case, a lot of X number of years, but it's an ongoing process to clean up the terrain, and get those cells working better, and the existing stem cells working better. Gosh, it's just it's amazing the results that we get with just the H pill. And of course, I do the other things too. I like that Triangle of Life with the Spectramax and the resveratrol and the Ficoidin. Got some dynamite products there. I know Dr. Z is just starting to learn about them. He started doing a little research in the products, and I think he told me there's some pretty neat products there, and we're just scratching the surface. So I think I'm understanding completely what Tom has put together for us.
It's just Dr. Kim, Dr. Z. It's so amazing what we have. You take a look at our fish oil product, the Super Omega Plus. I mean, we're using the right kinds of omegas, the omega-3s, the omega-5s, the omega-7s in a balance. We're not just throwing one in there, but we got a balance of the different types of omegas. And then we're throwing coenzyme Q10 in, which is a natural compound that's involved with ATP production in the mitochondria, when we're talking about mitochondria, and involved with energy metabolism. It's involved with protection against mitochondrial stress. And then we start looking at the whole thing that if telomere shortening really is the primary cause of mitochondrial dysfunction, and when you have mitochondrial dysfunction, it sets into motion kind of a spiral death jump. Then we got to start looking at what about the TSX product, the telomere product that we have, and so the telomere dysfunction weakens the defense against damage by free radicals, and so we got to start looking at what can the TSX do again when we're talking about working with stem cells. So anyhow, we're at the bottom of the hour. How quickly did that go by today, huh, guys? And it went super fast. So as you guys are working with your stem cell clinic out there in Michigan, jump on occasionally and share with us specifically what you're seeing with people who are responding and not responding to the stem cells, and if there is just even a not really a double-blind study or anything like that, but the small sampling that you have, I really believe stem cells are the future of medicine, and so if we can see how to make people so they respond better, all the better for us and our patients, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the goal.
All right. Well, Dr. Z, thanks for jumping on. I know you got a busy practice up there with your family practice. Dr. Kim, thanks for jumping on, sharing your knowledge. Andrea, thanks for hosting a call for all of us, and I really appreciate it. And all of you that are listening, thanks for taking the time out of your day today to be with us, and get the call out, share with other people. I'll get it posted to the Sizzle World Team channel on YouTube, and you can share it there, and I'll post the recording on Facebook as well on my Facebook page. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dr.
for having us
Kurtz.
on.
Goodbye. Thank you.